Welcome back. Love Boat Project, episode 3. With me again is my co host, Mike Robertson. I am Mike Taylor, and this week we have our very first guest. Welcome aboard, Captain Jamie Callahan. How are you, sir?
Ahoy. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Hey, Jamie, have you ever been on a cruise? Because neither Mike and I have ever been on one.
I've never been on a cruise.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't know if I've ever really had the desire to be on a cruise.
Yeah, that's kind of where we've landed so far. I feel like we're going to have a cruise person at some point because there's like cruise etiquette and cruise lifestyle that just, I don't know if it's part of the show or part of the 70s or both, but definitely we need to have like Kathy Lee Gifford or somebody who's big into cruises on this show at some point. So
I mean, because some people really are. They are like cruise,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
and they get into it. And I think my concern, not just from the Sausage King issue from last week, but was I've heard of so many people getting food poisoning on cruises. Now, it's not my number one, like, this is why I don't want to go on there. But like,
it's the talking to people. It's the talking to strangers. That's definitely
that's the biggest thing. Like in person, talking to strangers on a boat. There's nowhere to go.
Where to go?
It comes up eventually, but like at the captain's dinner, like the captain knew this one couple, they have been on enough that he's just recognizing them from previous trips.
Right.
So some people, it's their thing. No, thank you.
Yeah. I don't know. And my wife is, no, she will not get on a boat. So it's great. I never really wanted to. You know, sometimes they have these themed ones, like there was a wrestling one and they have like a jam cruise
yeah.
Maybe the idea thinks like, oh, that would be fun. But then I think, I'm on this metal thing that like, how does it even float? It's so heavy. Like,
I think if we successfully finish this thing, the last episode, we should do it on a cruise.
On a cruise.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
With all the money we make off of this.
We only have 260 episodes to go. So
awesome.
Can I be on the last episode?
Absolutely.
I mean, we need a sea captain. I mean, come on. Join us. It would be Virgin Cruises for all of us. It would be great. You could drink Boilermakers.
Nothing goes wrong on a cruise.
Nothing goes wrong on a cruise. So let's get into it. So this is the Love Boat Season 1, Episode 3. Name of the episode is X plus Y, Graham and Kelly, and Golden Angels. So again on this, so the way they do this, Jamie, is they always have 3 stories, but not only the 3 stories, but it's also like 3 completely different crews. And 3 different directors, 3 different writers, 3 different directors. So it's
interesting,
lot going on. So as just a quick summary, Julie becomes smitten with a handsome tour guide. A recently divorced couple enjoy one last roll in the hay before pretending it never happened and going back to their significant others. Just trying to, let's
put that in the synopsis.
Yeah, well, I'm paraphrasing.
Okay, I was going to say it's a big spoiler.
2 preteens explore the awkwardness of falling in love for the first time. Falling in love? All right, okay.
It was awkward.
It was awkward. So original air date October 8th, 1977. So on this particular episode, we had some heavy hitters for guest stars. Loretta Swit, Robert Reed. I got a lot to say about Robert Reed. Richard Mulligan, Pamela Bellwood, Scott Baio.
She looked familiar.
Who's
Pamela Bellwood. She looked familiar, but I don't know that I knew her from anything.
She was in like a bunch of little shows. It wasn't like, she was one of those guest stars on a million.
Probably looks like somebody else that I know or something like that.
Right. Who else? Scott Baio, Christy McNichol, Hermione Baddeley. She was Kitty Pickrell, the grandmother.
Oh, Kitty.
Interesting. And Charles Frank as Jim Wright. You remember him being Mr. Wright. So let's talk a little bit about these guest stars. Loretta Swit, we all remember MASH, ran from 72 to 83. She went on to appear on The Love Boat again in 1984. And here's an interesting thing for you here. Loretta Swit played the role of Christine Cagney in the movie pilot for the TV series Cagney and Lacey, but could not continue the role due to contractual obligations. So who was it? Like Sharon Gless replaced her, but like.
So she was on MASH and was going to go right from that to Cagney and Lacey?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think she could do both. Maybe she was going to pull like a Colonel, like like when they brought in.
Or when
Burn.
they blew up Henry Blake's
Yes,
copter. Yeah. So.
awful what they did to that poor guy.
Don't
Anyway,
leave the show, man.
don't leave the show.
Don't leave the show.
We'll kill you in a helicopter. So mean. It's so mean. Like, it's bad enough it's during time of war, but like,
He's definitely going to end up in this at some point, right? McLean Stevenson. Like, there's no way he doesn't show up.
I gotta
in
say,
this.
he's multiple.
Yeah.
Multiple.
Like
That
an
guy's
arc.
just. He's just in all that. He's like, I think he was in Aftermash. You know what I mean? He was in all these weird.
He was dead. How would he have been in Aftermath?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Never mind. All right. So let's talk Robert Reed, obviously, as Barney Mason. Terry Larson, Loretta Swit's ex-husband. So let's obviously he's Brady Bunch, right? We get it.
Yeah.
He was Brady Bunch. He was Mike Brady. So Brady Bunch ran 1969 to 74. All right.
This is post Brady Bunch.
This is post Brady Bunch.
Okay.
And I always find it interesting to see the parallels in the years, right? Like why would this star be why would this star be on this show? Obviously, it seems like a promotional opportunity. Well, it was. Brady Bunch Hour was on TV 1976 to 1977. Which was
The variety.
that was a variety show.
Oh no!
But forget all that. I found something so disturbing about a show called The Brady's. It came out in 1990. He was a part of it. There was only 6 episodes. All right, so this gets a little nutty here. So this focuses up on the main characters as adults, right? And this is a follow-up to the series Brady Brides in 81. They were using more dramatic storylines, right? But they're still using the laugh track, right? Let me just give you a few of the plot lines just to show you the complete ridiculous. I had to share this because it's just crazy. Okay, so
you remember it being on?
I do remember. I remember the Brady Brides, and it was more curiosity because I was like, well, I wonder what they look like grown up, like all the Brady people. And there was TV movies and stuff like that. But I do remember this. I don't think I watched it, but I think I saw like some promotion, like it sticks in my head. And it is bonkers. It is horrible. So Mike, the family patriarch, he begins a political career. Pretty standard. Okay. Greg, here's where it gets crazy. Okay, wait. Is now an obstetrician, right? And is married to a nurse named Nora, and they have a son together named Kevin, played by Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Sorry, this is the next one where it gets crazy. Sorry,
From Home Improvement?
From Home Improvement, yeah.
JTT.
Bobby's budding auto racing career ends abruptly in the first episode after an accident leaves him a paraplegic. As he recovers, he marries his college girlfriend. Wait. Peter breaks up with his fiance, to whom he became engaged in A Very Brady Christmas. Again, one of those TV movies.
So she didn't want to come back for the series.
No, I don't want to be Mrs. Peter Brady. I want someone
can't commit to that one. Yeah.
Give me Greg or nothing. He begins dating the abusive daughter of Mike's political rival. Wrinkles. All right, we're almost done, but you got it. Jan and Philip, they were married. They're unable to conceive children of their own. They adopt a Korean girl named Patty. Okay, and Marcia, a stay-at-home mom, battles alcoholism while Wally, Marcia's husband, loses
the Beaver's brother.
No. I mean, imagine he played himself. There's like an adult Wally. While Wally
Tony Dow getting some work in the early 90s.
Always in the shadow of that damn beaver.
Always. Screw you, Jerry Mathers. You know what I mean? I'm tired of your crap. I bet you Jerry Mathers back in the day charged a lot for an autograph versus Wally or Eddie Haskell. He's making some beaver bucks back in the day, I bet you he talked about himself in the first person too. Yes. You know what I mean? The beaver's hungry.
Beaver doesn't do this.
He's gonna end up on this show. No doubt.
Oh. He's America's sweetheart. Jerry Mathers. The only 63-year-old was still with dimples in his cheeks. You know what I mean?
his little hat.
Little hat. Marcia's stay-at-home mother battles alcoholism while her husband Wally Cleaver loses another in a series of jobs. The latest being as Mike's campaign manager, Wally and Marcia, who have been forced to move in with Mike and Carol, along with their 2 children, open a catering business to support the family. And we're almost done here. This is radio show host Cindy begins a romance with her boss, a widower more than 10 years, her senior, who has 2 children. An unproduced script had Mike Brady die in a helicopter accident, and when he went to check out a progress at a fire break, the script called for Carol to sing at the funeral. In addition, Jan would have finally gotten pregnant, Gary would have proposed to Cindy, and Peter would have taken over Mike's position as city councilman. And the mobile trauma unit that he helped build would have been named after Mike Brady.
Whoa.
That's a wrap. So they had 6
doesn't
episodes.
I don't
That's
want to see
nuts.
that.
No.
Any of that.
And obviously
Plus, why am I voting for you for city council? You're an architect.
Yeah, he didn't have any he didn't have any practical
Bona fide.
experience. He had AstroTurf in his backyard. Like, what? What's going on there, man?
The long way is, though, Robert Reed is a tour de force in this thing.
Oh, he
is
doesn't mess around.
So good in this episode. It's probably the best performance of anybody we've seen so far.
I think so. It was strong. He had a lot of camera time too. Like, I feel like I didn't have a timer on it, but he really did. And then obviously it's such a crazy thing. Imagine playing that dad all those years, but being like, it's just amazing. I guess, and Barry Williams did an interview. He said that he didn't want to go there. He didn't want to talk about it. And he said that basically, I don't think it was open for discussion for anybody.
Yeah.
And he's saying if it had ever come out, it would have screwed the whole show up and his career.
He was great. And I thought it was interesting because this is what, as we've kind of discussed, I don't think I've ever actually seen full episodes of The Love Boat. Like, I know the song, I know the crew, but I don't really understand any of it. And this is what I think it is guest stars playing completely against the character them to be. And I thought there was more of that this episode than there had been in any of the other ones. The other episodes, like Jimmy Walker was playing Jimmy Walker.
Yeah.
John Ritter
was
Hemsley was Sherman Hemsley. Yeah. John Ritter was Jack Tripper. This was like actual characters being different people, and I thought that's good. And that's kind of what I assumed the show would be more of. So
I'll tell you, it seemed like Loretta Swit took it very seriously. Like, there was some acting, it was just, good on them.
Yeah.
Richard Mulligan. What's that?
I would say you can't go more against the Mike Brady character than pointing a rifle at your points
and then getting drunk and betting your ex.
Yeah.
And then showing that guy.
Yeah.
It was so weird. They're like, "Oh, everything's tied up in a bow," and I'm like, "No, it's not." Like, what are you talking about? This is crazy.
They didn't really deal with literally any of the issues.
No. They just created more.
Somebody else's problem.
It is somebody else's problem. It's awful. Richard Mulligan is Ron Larson, and the whole fact that he was the marriage counselor for them.
That's not disbarment.
I mean,
I don't
that's
think they have a
shady as
bar.
hell, man. That's shady. It's
Okay.
a
But if they did have a bar, if you had to pass the bar, you'd be a marriage counselor.
That should be rule 1. Like,
you can't do that.
No.
Yeah, don't do that.
Well,
Don't do that.
it's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I can't help you guys. Also, would you like to go out? Like, how's that transition going? That seems awkward.
That's like the conflict of interest that politicians regularly abuse.
Well, wouldn't you think that I would think that for him, like, he would have to have like a code in a sense where, like, unofficial to be like, well, if I wait 3 months, like post divorce, I'm good. But like, he wanted some sweat. You know what I mean? He had to have it.
Where, like the whole thing is you're learning the innermost secrets, and that's why, like, every bad not horror, but like psychological thriller in the 90s was always like some femme fatale falling in love with their psychiatrist and him using everything that he knows in their sessions to get her and stuff like that. It's like 9 different movies in the 90s. Richard Mulligan might be a serial killer.
Well, I think too, just like you said, like, I remember being situations where, like, there was a girl that I may have liked, right? Who I didn't have anything in common with her, and say, like, very much round peg, square hole. right? I've told, I don't like sports. I know I don't, I would do it, whatever. And then, football season comes around and I'm like, oh, my bad. I forgot to tell you. But what I'm saying with this guy, he would be able to do that at such an advanced level.
Right.
Having that inside information where like he knows all, like he just wanted some swit. That's what this whole thing was
Yeah,
about.
but you
Like,
know what? She got
and
a free
bingo.
pass because of that too. Because he was all like, "You should really work it out," and she worked it out all right.
That's a bit of a, he knew too. That was all.
Everybody's playing 3D chess in this one.
And that other girl, the other girl just wanted to play bingo. She was she came off as sort of vapid. You know what I mean? Because it's like,
Yeah, but not,
She was a
but not,
piece of-
but she's also a anthropology major or something. Like she had a real career.
just because she had a rock in her pocket doesn't make her an anthropologist. You know what I mean? Get out of here, lady.
Maybe she
ma'am.
worked the anthropology.
That's it. That's it. You spell yours with an IE. I know you. I know your tricks. I like your scarves. You know what I mean? But
Your
no,
home goods, your
get out of here.
tablecloths.
I actually went to an Anthropologie to buy a Christmas gift for my wife, and there was this thing hanging on a stick, and I had no idea what it was. And I was like, I'm going to get this. It's really soft. And I went to leave, and I go, yeah, what is this? And she's like, oh, it's like a throw blanket. I didn't know. But sight unseen, it was on a stick hanging to the floor. Shout out Anthropologie.
It's a gratuitous virtual ad that you're doing here.
My phone's ringing. It's the Anthropologie people right now. Looking for everyone. Richard Mulligan. He was on Soap, 77 to 81. Empty Nest, which was a Golden Girls spinoff, 88 to 95. Won a Golden Globe for the lead actor in a comedy
we got an
series.
Empty Nest reunion in this one.
I know we do. I know.
Mhm.
Another Love Boat appearance for him, 1978. Pamela Bellwood as Judy Watson. I didn't have much on her. Again, she was kind of all over the place. Hermione Badley. This is a very interesting one here. She played Kitty Pickrell, who was the grandmother of Scott Baio. Nominated for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for a movie called Room at the Top in 1958. But the interesting thing is, she only appeared in the movie for 2 minutes and 32 seconds. It's the shortest performance ever to be nominated for an Academy Award. She must have kicked the door in 2 minutes and 32 seconds, and they want to give you the award, and you're nominated for an award.
Came in, got a bunch of shots off, went out.
She got paid by the hour. You know what I mean? No, she didn't get paid by the hour. Forget me. 2 minutes and 32. That's crazy.
Have you heard of that movie?
I've heard of the name, but I don't. It doesn't ring a bell. She also appeared. Well, it's funny. Her career from her first project to her last went from 1927 to 1982.
Full day.
That's a chunk of time. She was in Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins.
Not
so
Harry
I looked her
Poppins,
up
Mary
because
Poppins.
she looked and sounded so familiar to me.
She was in The Secret of Nim.
I don't know that I've seen anything except Mary Poppins.
Mm.
And I was really surprised. And I haven't seen Mary Poppins in 35 years, 40. I don't have kids.
pop
Like
in
I haven't
very
seen it in a long time. So I looked her up. I don't remember the character because I think
Right.
her character was a nanny, which seems weird because isn't
Yeah,
Mary Poppins the nanny? So
She was a rival.
Rival.
But here's the funny part. So when I'm looking it up, I'm looking for the pictures on IMDb to see, oh, maybe it'll trigger something. And she
Yeah.
looks exactly the same. But you know who else was in that movie that showed up in one of those pictures? Arthur Treacher.
Arthur Treacher.
Yes, the same one.
The fish guy?
The guy who lent his name to the Arthur Treacher restaurant empire.
I love Arthur Treachers,
There you
which
go.
I thought it was Arthur Treachers, but I like this pronunciation.
Maybe it is.
Makes it sound a little.
If we're going off pronunciations by me, that's not going to be a successful plan.
I used to like, out of all the seafood fast foods, you had the Long John Silver's. Arthur Treachers was the one we always went to.
I've never been
why.
to that one.
Big old fries. They give you like the malt vinegar in the little container. It was legit as far as fried fish goes. All right, so it's Hermione Badley. Charles Frank, who played Jim Wright. He was on All My Children from 1970 to 74. He played Scott Carpenter in the movie The Right Stuff in 1983. Christy McNichol was at Kelly Rixey. Man, she was an Empty Nest as well. A bit of her, she was reunited there, or she was in everything, man. Like,
Yeah. She really
The
was.
list was ridiculous.
Because this almost has to be pre all that, right?
What?
Or is she in the middle
yeah.
of it?
No. Well, her first appearance was about 12. So her first appearance, like in any, was about 3 years prior to this, because I think
Gotcha.
she was about 15. But oh man, there's so many 70s things where she pops up as guest star,
Yep.
or it's just crazy. All right, I saved the last but least. Not a fan. Mr. Scott Baio. I'll say this about Mr. Scott Baio. Like, what a career. It's it's funny. I the more I looked into him, the more I didn't add any notes on his name, because it left such a weird. He had such a career. Like right after this, he was added to Happy Days, and that was on for so long. The Joni Met Chachi was so big. Charles in Charge and Zapped, and on and on and on and on and on. And he was in those reality shows. I watched him. You know what I mean? Scott Baio's 49 and single or something like that. It was a train wreck. But apparently,
he was not. This was a miscast, I feel like.
I think so too.
They should have had an uglier kid who was awkward.
Ralph Macchio would have been great. He's a little uglier, don't you think, than Scott Baio? If you had to pick one or the other.
Yeah.
But it was just like all his weird like shtick and everything. And he couldn't, I don't know, it would have made more sense if it was somebody who was like really charming but couldn't get it out. But this is like Scott Baio, so it was hard.
Yeah, it was the other way.
Yeah,
like this guy clearly. Yeah.
Baio's doing just fine on the Love Boat at 12 is my guess. So
you can tell he was going to be a Reaganite even at that age.
Yeah, that's why he knew all that stuff about bridges. He's a big infrastructure guy.
Oh God, he was. Yeah, he's. I don't know. It kind of surprised me that he kind of was like that. You know what I mean? Or so vocally like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just surprised. And lately, where another allegation came out about his time at Charles. Charles in Charge against him. So there's like all this weird.
I don't know. Do you think that this Love Boat episode and being around the Navy inspired the character of the grandfather in Charles in Charge, who
Absolutely.
I believe he always had a military hat on.
He was a Navy man. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Might have been Stubing's hat too. You never know.
That guy would have been a better Stubing. That guy was great.
Wow, so far Stubing's a little disappointing. I got to be honest with you.
We'll get
All right, so as the passengers, well, let me say this before. So beginning of the show, there's Julie. Number one, there's a new set. There's a new set, and there's just a set outside of the ship as the people are showing up. Now, in the previous 2 episodes, they're all coming into this lobby, with that staircase.
Yeah, but no staircase this week.
No.
Yeah.
So Julie's out there with their thing in that like hall thing, which they used like 3 times in this episode, that same set.
Yeah.
It was weird.
And it goes back to what we said, which is just there are all these people lined up in a cattle chute asking where their rooms are. And Julie's got to check this piece of paper that who knows? I would love to see how that is organized. Is it alphabetical? Is it like
by room number?
But like they said aft again.
They did. I'm glad
now
you
I know
caught
what
that.
it is.
That too. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like that just seems like such a nightmare compared to whatever a cruise is today, which is probably like we said last week, like a scan card or something like that.
Well, I bet too, like if you have to go through TSA to get on an airplane, I would assume that you'd have to do something similar to get on a boat going into like international waters or different countries.
Well, you can do whatever you want international waters, but getting there,
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. But like here, there's no ID. That's what we have, and Jamie, that's what Mike and I always say. It's like there's no. Was that what it was really like? Was it so free and easy? Just like it could have been that easy, but
you could have snuck onto a cruise ship in the 70s easily.
I mean, John Ritter did last week. You know what I mean? Essentially.
Plus, I don't remember what that first family's name was, but it's like I'm the Joneses. I'm sure there's Jones on this thing. It's
always, it was just, it's weird. It's weird. So passengers are excitingly boarding the ship. Julie and Gopher are going over check-ins list when Julie happens to glance across the lobby, sees someone she likes, and she says, "Gorgeous." Like, do your job, Julie. together.
I don't understand any of this. So at first I assumed that they had had a fling in the past, which would have made more sense. They're trying to get together. These olds are in the way, whatever. But no, it was literally the first time they ever met. And this Jim Wright guy who, I don't know, like we've seen better looking guys on this boat so
He's
far,
not that
right?
good looking
Like he's
out
not
of
some
everyone.
drop dead guy.
No. He's top.
And they're just
Not
like
that
gaga. I'm like, Julie, you're right. A, you're working. B, this guy's whatever. Like,
Keep it
calm
in your
down.
pants, Julie. Jeez.
How long have you been at sea?
Well, plus, how many
Well-
people does she see every week? They're coming on the boat, off the boat. Like this guy wasn't some, come on.
Yeah, I was surprised. Like Dennis Kingsley or Kingston or whoever his was
Much
last
better.
week. Much
Yeah.
better looking. Yeah.
I mean, am I right? The 70s were just a horny decade. Like, just from watching this, I'm like, there's every single character. I mean, I know it's the Love Boat, but I can't tell if it's like a critique of like love, if it's a set like supposed to be like love wins out in the end, if it's a like a cocaine fueled critique of monogamy. I don't know what the hell's going on in this fever dream.
I
Like,
think it's just a mixed bag, to be honest. Week by week, it's three stories a week, 3 stories per episode. Like
different writers
throwing stuff at the
directors.
wall. Yeah.
Which I think that's a pretty cool. I mean, I don't know if any other shows ever did
I don't
that.
know.
Not that I know of, but like I thought that was surprising.
Well, this is really the first. I want to think about it before I say it, but this is the first one where, in theory, these two people were trying to hook up that they hadn't met
Mhm.
previously in some way. Most of the people have been together or had been together and got together, or there's like a crazy mix them up or something like that. But this was literally like
hijinks.
attraction, instant attraction. They spend the whole time trying to get together, which we'll get to it. But I would think the cruise director would figure out a room that these old people aren't in so they could have 20 minutes by themselves. But she keeps walking them into these old people. So I'm not sure I want Julie as my cruise director.
I would assume that the busiest time in Julie's like job, right, is when people are getting on the freaking boat to find out their room number, like, and
Yeah.
she's turning into Jello next to Gopher. Gopher's not up to handling that. You saw last week he couldn't tell John Ritter was the same as the Come on, you don't want Gopher.
Yeah.
Did anybody catch Gopher's first name?
Burl?
Pearl or Burl?
Burl. I think it's like Burl Eye.
Girl Lives,
Yeah. Or other famous Burls.
Burl.
all the famous Burls.
All of them.
Right. But that felt like, we always talk about pilot episode stuff. That felt like they were shoehorning that in so you knew, oh, well, my name's Burl, but everybody calls me Gopher. And then there was no reaction or nothing to
It'll
it.
never be mentioned again in the next, however
Yeah,
many
it's
episodes.
just like,
Building
listen,
that
we don't need to think
biography.
about this anymore. Everybody's going to call me Gopher. Or they shot a scene where they called him Gopher and realized they hadn't actually explained it. So-
Maybe there's something coming up. Maybe somebody's going, "Hey, I'm looking for Burl Smith," and I could be like, "Burl Smith." I don't know who that
Yeah.
is. Like, oh, you mean Gopher? I'm like, Gopher. You know what I mean? It's going to be a fish out of water, or somebody from like he's going to be from like Idaho. You know what I mean? He's not going to be from Los Angeles. So
you think
gonna
it's
be
what, like when Principal Skinner was
he
what
wasn't
was
a
it,
Vietnam vet,
Arzarian or whatever it's like.
but mother kept him. Mother kept him though, so it all ended up. Well, let me
Gopher
ask
also
you-
had a very unfortunate and
Mm.
one of the rare ones we've had so far of the day where they were doing the checklist and the Ramirez family was on there and he was like, C. It was like big laugh track. Like, all right, good one, Burl.
He's yeah.
Do
So
cruise ships sail out of Los Angeles? I mean, maybe Long Beach. I don't know. Like
I don't know. I
This
never.
one does. I don't know if it's true.
I don't. Not that I've ever heard.
Well, the port just looks like a cab stand, so I'm not exactly sure.
Well,
like-
where would it be in LA?
I don't know. I don't think it, like
Venice
is
Beach?
this like a Waterworld type alternate universe
It's
where
LA 2. It's Earth 2.
flooding has occurred? It's a post.
Yeah, I didn't because I honestly never thought. I thought if anything, maybe San Diego. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? To have that big naval base there. It's not like Who knows?
Questions.
I know. I never. Well, we mapped it too, because remember JJ Walker had to
Right.
drive and meet the
Down the
ship,
Gulf. Yeah.
so he drove like it was ridiculous.
And is it the same cruise every week? Like the same route?
I think when it's not, then it's a special episode.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like we're going to cruise to Hawaii.
Right,
That's
but
probably
they
a
don't
2-hour
mention
episode.
taking that same trip. every
Right.
week.
Use Puerto Vallarta, Cabo,
Burbank.
whatever, Cabo. Yeah, Burbank. Yeah.
East
Venice
LA.
Beach,
Hogan's Beach.
Hogan's Beach, your
Yeah.
brother. I wish he was on the show. Maybe he will.
Oh, he's going to be on.
Oh, God, I hope so, man. God, that'd be great. Just for his acting. So this guy comes up. He gazes all smitten like at Julie, introduces himself as Jim Wright. Julie purrs, Mr. Wright. Get it together, lady. Come on.
A little too on the nose, too.
It's
Like,
too-
really,
yeah,
Mr.
come
Wright.
on.
Yeah.
At least you could spell it. Did they spell it with a W? I don't know. Did they?
I don't know that it was ever written down somewhere.
Oh,
so.
that's true. I don't have the official. It is written with a W. That makes me feel a little better. That it's
Okay.
not, could be worse. He explains he's tour guide for Life Begins at 60. A group of seniors invites Julie to join him for a cup of coffee before the cruise gets underway. Yes. Hey, Julie, do me a favor. Step away from your your duty position where you're
80%
checking
of
in.
your job function.
You're checking in thousands of guests onto the cruise. Go ahead. Get a cup of coffee with some stranger you just met. You just started your shift, Julie.
Right.
You're on thin ice.
This is the only ship that matters, Julie, right now.
Like,
Seriously. Okay, so I hate these old people. They are the worst. They come in like it's cocoon, like a one-man cocoon show.
yeah,
It's like, and I get what they're going for, but first of all, Life Begins at 60. So are you telling me these people are 60?
it made me. I got a little worried if they were 60.
Like,
I was like, really? That's 60?
these guys are villains. They are villains in the entire show. I hate them.
They ruin everything.
I was waiting for like Legionnaire's disease or something to wipe them out because they were just like an awful group of human beings.
Where's food poisoning when you need it? You know what I mean?
Where's the Sausage King this week?
No kidding. Have this sample.
I appreciated at the end when it was like, "Oh, we're just agents of chaos. We're just here to
right.
We
don't have as much time as you do." Well, it doesn't mean you get to be an asshole about it.
Yeah, that was a weird. I was like, that's an asshole thing. Like, we're gonna do what we want because we're 20 years older than you, or however they want to frame that. It's just a weird.
And the thing is,
concept.
too, it's like, again, none of us have been on cruises. I don't know how cruises are. Maybe this happens all the time, but it's like I am on a cruise in theory to relax or whatever, and then friggin' Irish Joe or whatever that guy is playing bagpipes in the nightclub when I'm just trying to have a drink.
Oh,
awful people. Let alone what they did to this Jim. That's kind of on Jim Wright, honestly. And Julie,
unless I bet you they were paying him a ton of money.
Well,
I don't feel bad for Jim Wright. Jim Wright knew what he was getting into. He knew these people.
He's on call 24 hours. He's out there.
Apparently.
Oh, what a terrible job. Like, does he know CPR and stuff? Like, that's why you should be on call 24 hours for a
He's got EpiPens inside his jacket. You know what I mean? Just in case. Tapioca pudding in the other. You know what I mean? Glucose strips.
How many made it back from the Life Begins at 60 cruise?
We started with 7. We got 3 left. You know what I mean?
I'll never wear a life jacket again.
What's the point? I don't have much time left. Like, what are you doing?
One of the olds was the middle bailiff from Night Court.
The middle bailiff?
The one who replaced
Post Bull?
No, it was
after Marsh.
Selma was Selma the original one. And then Roz was the third one. They had a middle one that didn't last that long. She died actually pretty fast. She's in there. I don't remember her name.
It's a good call. So Life Begins at 60, group of seniors. They're singing "Row, Row Your Boat" and demand that Jim come along with them while they check out the ship. So there's didn't happen there. No coffee, which, dear job. I did want to make a comment on outside the boat when can I just call him Mike Brady? It's a lot easier.
That's the way I called him.
So
my head the entire time.
so Mike Brady and his new lady, they're arriving at the ship, and she's saying like, I need you to have plenty of energy, and I'm
Yep.
yelling at the TV, get back in the car, Robert Reed. You don't want any part of this. Drive away, sir. And what's with nobody putting trunks in a suitcase? Was that a thing in the 70s? He takes one out of the trunk, and at the very end, what's his name? Richard Mulligan has this big suitcase, and he just puts it in the front seat of the cab. It was so weird. So I was like, why would you?
Maybe it's like when they were cracking down on Ubers a few years ago at the airport. The guy asked me to sit in the front because they didn't want to make it look like an Uber. So maybe you put a suitcase in there so you can like go in the carpool lane or something.
That's a good point. Somebody in Arizona I know got arrested. Not arrested. They got a ticket because they had like a mannequin in their passenger seat, and they were driving in like the HOV lane, like at Phoenix. Like brilliant.
I put a hat on the passenger seat and used the carpool lane.
A baseball hat? Is it a bucket hat or what kind
Baseball hat.
Nice.
I'm a real person hat.
Newlyweds Terry and Ron Larson are above deck, marveling at how much sunnier and warmer it is in Los Angeles versus Chicago. That's kind of a no-brainer.
No sunglasses though for Richard Mulligan. That's bad for your eyes. You're coming out of the Chicago winter. You got to get some shades on.
He's not scared of lines, apparently. I asked his wife if she called her ex-husband. Says he wants her to resolve the differences so she doesn't harbor any feelings of deep resentment. We know what this is about. This is some primal stuff going on right here. Like, it's just amazing that this is how they're framing this.
So Isaac comes out to get their drink orders, and I think they got pina coladas. And Isaac does this bit about, 1 is good, 2 is dangerous, 3 you're going to be bowling your head. Like, this is on me, Isaac. Pour the drinks.
I got it.
If I'm drunk, that's on me. Your job is to pour them. My job is to drink them. If I'm overserved, that's fine. But I don't need the warning before I even have this first. I'm on vacation, man.
Well, plus, I thought it was interesting. I don't quite understand his role in the ship. Like, I see bartender, right? How does he have time to bring drinks to people on the deck
He's
individually?
the only person working at this bar. He's waiting.
The worst bar ever.
Waited.
Just the worst.
5,000 people online.
He's so nosy too. He's always
waited on the deck. He waited at the deck table. He waited on the kids.
Those kids. When he gave him
bartending.
Yeah.
He was given friggin' Mr. Right iced tea in the morning.
Did you see how close he got to Mr. Right at that bar? Like he was leaned so far forward.
That was a very small set. Whatever that set was very small. There wasn't a lot of room there.
He's such a busybody though, man.
Let's get Isaac another person in that bar staff.
Well, I don't think Gopher's capable. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't think that's his. But you never see. I haven't seen Isaac making a drink yet. Like even like the pantomime and then pouring. So he's always just.
Which is ironic because
you never see him serving
drinks now.
Well, I'm careful. She might be. We'll hear about that in a few hundred, 50 episodes. We got something. So
drinking though.
Yeah.
Grandma.
Well, that was a good one too. He ordered a Boilermaker.
Boilermaker.
And what can you remind me what is in a Boilermaker? I
looked it up. It is. Well, I didn't look up Boilermaker. I actually looked up whiskey sour, which comes. This is a very boozy episode.
Yeah.
Boilermaker is a shot, usually whiskey, and a beer. Sometimes you drop it in, sometimes you don't, but it's very basic. So she's literally getting a shot and a beer at the same time that Jim's trying to get coffee. So,
I mean, it's her cruise too.
Well, she asked where the hooch was when she was getting on the boat.
Did Isaac serve her the Boilermaker?
They said it, but I don't think they showed it.
I'm just saying is if it was Isaac, I would think he would say something. If a pina colada is going to put you out, like
I feel like if you're ordering a Boilermaker in the morning, you're already past it.
You're a pro drinker,
or it's too late. But either way, warnings will not help you.
Well, plus I think it's sort of unspoken that person doesn't want to hear that. He doesn't want to hear it, or she doesn't want to hear that crap.
And she's British, so she can probably handle it.
She could do it.
Might have been up all night.
Why is she the word of this child? What's
But
that
wasn't the-
dynamic?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, she was the grandmother. Maybe she's
But that's
grandma
fine. But
taking her
like,
grandson.
so this grandmom and this 12-year-old are going on this boat, and that's it. She sauced the entire trip. The entire trip.
Well, and the fact that like he's obviously like some, sort of like looks sort of Italian-ish. You know what I mean? It blended beautifully with her British accent. You know what I mean? Like I'm from New Jersey, and she's like, "Ooh," like you're not from New Jersey. You know what I mean? It was just very weird, that part of it. They should have had something else to link them. You needed another like
A
this
third
is my
person.
son or daughter's
Oh.
son or something.
And
Put
then
something
who's
else on it.
raising Christy McNichol and the other person?
I was thinking, well, in the beginning, I did see a dad. I did
But he
see a
just
dad when they
left?
first got on the boat, but then he wasn't in
Just
the room.
split?
He fell over.
He said, "Have a good time."
we didn't even get like a 2-line co-star guy just to like pop in once in a while. Your 12-year-old daughter is hooking up with this guy.
Yeah.
Who is weird.
She
His
told him she
grandmother
loved
is
him.
Drunk.
Yeah.
He knows a lot about bridges, which somebody should have contacted the authorities about that.
That was a little weird.
Yeah.
It was a little, that didn't make much sense to me. And then he did that weird Igor
No, they
stupid
went to that.
thing. Like,
They went to
what
that
are
bit a
you
lot.
doing, man?
Yeah.
I meant to say about the skeet shooting. I would like to talk about the skeet shooting for a moment. Have we gotten to this yet?
Yeah, I think you're close.
Yeah. So let me just talk about the skeet shooting. Number one, I thought it was amazing you had skeet shooting on a ship. Okay. That's a whole thing. Think about it. A ship is moving. You have wind. You have all the, like, what do you do?
Other passengers.
Right. And you drinks and all this other stuff. But I will say I've been skeet shooting once in my life in Southern Tennessee, my brother's friend. And these people would throw it with beers, throwing up these clay things and shooting them. So what I saw was amazing. These guys were drinking. But if you take that and then add to that degree of difficulty, like, I would imagine cruises are very windy. You know what I mean? Like you're moving at a fast rate. I just thought it was very odd. The fact that they're distributing live ammunition and drinks.
I also thought it was interesting because we just talked about it with Isaac, but in general, the boat is incredibly understaffed. Like all the time, there are the same 5 people doing all the work, but we have somebody who can just stand there and toss skeets. Like it's just like that's your whole job on this boat. Like go help Julie with the list.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, it was just who's like, is that it? Are you just the skeet person? You know what I mean? I don't know. That was a very odd.
I mean, we need to figure out a way.
Room.
How can we give Mike Brady a rifle? Skeet shooting. I don't know.
Remember, he joked about like pointing it in their direction too.
He
like
did point it.
Yeah,
I was trying to give him
pointed it
Mike
in their
Brady
direction. Like
bad.
a would-be hero could have shot Mike Brady right off the deck. Like,
if there was any
The good guy with
security
the
on that
gun?
boat, there's no security anywhere on that boat.
No.
Like if anything goes south, who's gonna like?
that's a good point.
There's no security. Why wouldn't they have like head of security? That'd be a cool character on there.
You're
like-
right. Introducing a rifle into that boat is a bad idea. Let
I
alone
don't-
that it's this contentious ex-married couple.
Well, especially like, how do you do so well? And he's like, I think about my ex-wife every time I squeeze the trigger. Like, damn.
Dark.
Okay.
Dark.
In case you had any doubt.
I want to see the writers of that '90s Brady's drama write a Love Boat episode where it's just like it just goes. It doesn't even, like all this dark stuff we thought might happen. It just goes there. He shoots his ex-wife. Bedlam breaks out on the boat.
Boat sinks. They end on an island. They turn into cannibals. You know what I mean? It's just everyone has a taste for blood. Isaac becomes their king.
the last Love Boat.
Yeah.
I thought it was weird. I didn't bother looking it up. I assume it was a dated reference, but Edsel's stock really caught a stray.
Yeah.
So I guess that was a
funny.
bad year for Edsel.
That's funny. That is funny. Bear with me here. I got too many pieces of paper in front of me. I have to come up with a better system.
So I have it. So that's like the end of Act 1.
Yeah.
Is the skeet shooting thing. So then they start with the second act, and it's Doc with the boozy grandmom and Scott Baio, and Doc is sitting very weirdly in a lounge chair, legs akimbo and everything. And this is where the bridge argument comes. But Doc shouldn't be around children.
Not with those socks. Do you see those socks?
Not just not in
Sure.
general.
They're pulled up to his knees.
His general behavior so far he shouldn't be around children unless you're actually sick, and even then you should be supervised. Doc's a creep. This was his least creepy episode,
Yeah.
which is not saying much. So
No, I think that it's funny with him because I always feel like he's doing a Dean Martin impression when he's talking. Like everything's got to be super smooth. And yeah, this week, what really struck me, not so much, like you said, least creepy appearance was his outfit, right? So he had on the standard, shirt, the shoulder things, this white shorts. I'm assuming Bermuda length shorts, high white knee socks with white dress shoes on. And I was just, that just blew me away. I guess that's professional. I don't know.
like you go into surgery on that boat. Like if something happened, right?
There's no
Do you have
helicopter or
to go
anything.
into surgery or no? Is he just like a urgent care guy?
He's just keeping that boat pilled up. Like I don't think there's anything professional going on there.
Gotcha. So you're screwed if anything happens.
I think Doc
If
is
Mike
his
Brady
nickname.
does in fact wing you with a skeet shot,
Yeah.
Doc's not stitching you up.
Yeah, they call him Doc because he just gives people pills. Like he's
Yeah.
like, that's just my nickname. I don't really have a degree.
Gives him
I'm
one of
just
those
Doc.
pina coladas.
Yeah, he just, do you want any crushed up pills in your drink? You know what I mean? It's one of those kind of things.
Yeah.
Just what's up?
Can I have some
Oh.
Dramamine? He's like, I don't have any Dramamine.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I got
He's got some
Out
of
of an
that.
empty bottle.
He got some of those Cosby pills in there, though. You know what I mean? Like, exciting and new. Barney and Terry encounter each other in an elevator. Again, that's
Elevator's back.
elevator, same elevator.
So we weren't sure if that was a one episode elevator set.
I wonder if
so-
it still smelled like sausage. The Sausage King was
Probably.
in there.
Well, at least it
stuck
didn't
in
break
an
down.
elevator.
That would have been awkward.
Stuck in
An
the elevator.
ex-married couple stuck in an elevator.
Yeah, hilarity. They spend the night bickering, bragging about their new significant others. They kind of just, it was just you know what I mean? It was just like a
Yeah.
setup, basically.
This was
Kelly-
this was them being the Lockhorns.
Yes, this was them being exactly. It was just.
It was a lot of like, how'd you get here on your broom? Like it was just like a lot of that stuff.
It wasn't.
Great.
Kelly asked Julie for some grown woman perspective about the opposite sex, and she asked her if she knew how to handle boys back when she was prepubescent. Julie said there's two types of boys: some you learn to handle, and some you never figure out. What did she say? Draw him out by asking him questions about himself, given that most guys thoroughly enjoy talking about themselves. So that's the advice that Julie's given out. I think it's funny that in the same episode that she's willing to leave her work, her workstation for some dude, completely unprofessional and completely like, she should not be the one giving advice to a teenage girl on what to do with a dude, because she's not.
But at least it's like age close. Like Julie's probably in her mid to late 20s. That's not crazy. Doc's 100 years old and he's giving the same advice to Bayo.
That's true.
The other thing about Julie that I noticed was she's wearing a turtleneck.
I noticed that too,
which is
and
an
that's why I
odd
brought up the
boat
Doc.
choice.
Well, I thought if Doc's in shorts and short sleeves and all this stuff, she had a turtleneck and then something on
People
over
were
it.
swimming, like it's hot. I would assume it's a boat.
You're in the South Pacific. I mean, you're.
So you know what I figured out though?
Hmm.
Because then later she's got a little dress on with a little thing. Jim Wright hickey machine.
Oh,
So that's
That
what
makes
happened.
sense.
You gotta be professional. You could do whatever you want, but you got to keep that turtleneck covering things. So that's what happened.
it's hard to be professional with Mr. Wright's leaving trash rashes all over your neck and arms and a boot to your back. So Graham tells Doc he keeps getting tongue-tied around Kelly. He wants advice about what to say to her. Doc suggests he flatter her by telling her how nice she looks. Again, not very creepy on that. I thought that was decent.
No, I had my backup for more creepiness. He
I was
actually
waiting.
was probably fine, but that
Yeah.
should have been That should have been Gopher.
I agree.
Oh,
I
good call.
agree. Oh, that is a good call.
Yeah.
I feel like Gopher's sort of that, like,
Well, he's a lot younger.
He's a lot younger. And the
And-
other thing too is in some of the other episodes, the first episode you saw a lot more with the crew. I mean, obviously you see when this is a Julie heavy episode. Have we really seen the captain yet?
He's only in one
At this
scene.
point?
He's only in one scene.
I don't
the whole
get it.
thing.
because it says starring, and you have the cast of the Love Boat, and then guest starring. But in these situations, it's like you don't. It's so well. I'll say it was focused so much on this Loretta Swit, Robert Reed, like that. That had a lot of time, but it was odd that they didn't work in the captain in any other way.
And maybe
Especially
that's
after what happened last week.
Maybe that's just going to be a thing where there's not enough time for everybody, but it is starting to become obvious that just because Gavin McLeod's the captain of the boat doesn't mean he's the captain of the show. He doesn't
He's not the
necessarily
driving
get the
force.
big meaty role every week. So
Well, if you had to say at this point, who out of the crew is the biggest driving force out of all?
Julie.
Julie.
I feel like Julie's had the most to do consistently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she was like in a lot of the first episode. Because she was like running errands for everybody and stuff like that.
Well,
She was
she's
clearly
such a
in
good
this one a lot.
segue to the different stories. You know
And
what I
like
mean? Like
nobody-
the clipboard, like you
Right.
can.
And like nobody was in last week's episode, really. But
Well, it's a disturbing episode.
I'm all right with it. I like Julie, actually.
I think she's personable. I
Yeah.
think she's great. You know, I totally agree. Doc, someone proudly says that he's somewhat of an authority on women, having been married 4 times. Now, we knew this. Episode 1, he reveals that he's been married.
They're
4
hitting
times.
that joke hard. Somebody
are.
liked that joke. Yeah.
But the other thing we learned is he said in episode 1, been married 4 times, and he likes them big.
Right.
Those are his words. He likes them big.
So
and
here's the question, something
Mhm.
we should look for moving forward. Do you
Single
think we
big.
meet all 4 of the ex-wives?
the fact that they brought it up twice in 3 episodes leads me that, you know what I mean? Maybe that's
It's a long time.
you
They're
got
all
260 more.
cruise.
Oh, see, though, that would
That's
be great.
oh, geez, Jamie, that's fantastic.
That would be
That
great.
would-
You're
If it
coming
doesn't
back.
happen-
If that happens, you're coming back for that.
That's coming back. Oh, geez, that's great. Be like, guess what? Guess who's in the episode? They're all there.
2
Oh.
of my ex-wives are on the boat. Just wait.
It's like one of those
Great.
old singing groups from the 60s and 70s that were all sisters. It's like it's like the Andrews sisters.
And you'd still get 2 more stories. You know what I mean? Like, good Lord,
Yeah.
that'd be a chock full. So 4 times. And here we go. So Terry and Ron arrive at the captain's table for dinner. I had a real issue with this scene too. They stop short when they notice that Barney and Judy have also been invited to dine with the captain. Number 1, how do you get invited to have dinner with the captain out of all the people on the ship? You said that one, like you thought he knew it money. Yeah.
Do you think it's invite or do you think it's
Yeah, I
Like-
definitely think.
but do you think it's like request or something like that?
Maybe it's about money, like you're saying, Jamie. Like part
Yeah.
of the cruise, dinner with the captain. You know, like
Like a different tier. Like you get ocean, port, window, whatever,
Yeah.
and dinner with the captain.
dinner with the captain's dinner. Like
Well, I got-
it'd be
I
a
gotta
big
tell
ass
ya.
table though.
Whatever you're paying for it, it's too much because we've now seen 2 captain's dinners and they're disasters.
You never see
both
food.
times. They're just
you-
awkward fights between ex-husbands and wives. And I always feel really bad for the non-cast people that are
Yeah.
at the dinner, like the Green family, who's just sitting there and has no idea what's going on. And
They don't
these-
even know they're on camera. You know what I
and
mean?
these people are just fighting each other, and Stubing's lost for a while too. It took him like 5 minutes to understand what was happening here.
Well, here's the thing. So Captain Stubing arrives, and he asks Terry and Ron to take their seats. All right. Here's my issue. Specifically in boy, girl. Why
Yeah.
didn't she just sit across? Because he didn't, her husband was sitting on the end no matter what. There was 2 guys. 2
Oh,
guys.
you're saying so sit next to Mr. Green on the other side.
Right. Why
Yeah.
did she have to sit there?
Because she would have
didn't.
had her back to the camera then. That's probably why.
That's a good point. I didn't think that through.
So do you
I'm
think
better with that now. Yeah.
do you think that Julie, because I think we did determine one of Julie's roles is to book this captain's dinner.
Yeah.
And to Jamie's point, we think it's some sort of upper echelon tier.
Yeah.
So if I'm the captain,
Yeah.
I want a little note card on each of these people that are coming to my table.
Of course. You don't know who they are.
And
of
I
course.
sure as hell want to note that two of these people have been married before, and the guy took a shot at her on the deck like an hour ago.
The other one was their marriage counselor, and like,
right, like, come on, give me something here. I'm not just gonna. He's just walking in like, "Hi, everybody. Are you trying out the amenities?"
Well, and the only in episode 1 at the captain's dinner, like things were not going well. It was his ex-wife was there, right? And he excused himself because he had other duties. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not eating dinner there if I'm Captain Stewing. You know, I'm taking me and my short jacket. I'm gonna go have dinner somewhere else, man. Like, you know. So that was sort of an interesting one. The captain's dinner thing is funny to me.
Now I'm excited to see if there's ever a regular captain's dinner where they just have a good time and it isn't fraught with drama.
Well, plus, wouldn't you think the captain's dinner would have more than like 7 seats to go with the captain? Like, wouldn't it be just this big, long, regal sort of table with like, you know what I mean?
Especially if you're charging, I guess you're paying for the intimate experience.
I guess. I mean,
also, why would anyone want that?
Right. I think it includes a hug from the captain. It'll be some weird, like,
this feels like a level again. This is cruise people. We need to find out if this is even really a thing. But I think it sounds like a level beyond what I would ever want to do anyway. It's like, it's bad enough I have to be on this cruise. I have to eat dinner with strangers, which is awful. But then I got to eat dinner with the captain, who I guess is going to talk about being a captain. Because there's going to be one guy who's like really into captain questions. God. Oh, it just sounds awful.
I'm going to stump him with some sort of like nautical geography question. Yeah, but the other thing I think of is like, I've been on a lot of flights, right? We take planes. You know, when they serve you dinner, I don't want to have dinner with the pilot, right? I don't want the pilot to go fly the plane. Yeah. I.e., captain of the ship. Go be the captain of the ship. What do you?
He ordered like 2 bottles of something. Like, are you drinking that, Stubing?
Like, wait a minute. I don't want to see you. Like, you're the captain.
This isn't the Valdez. Get that bottle down, bud.
Come on. And that's the other thing we say. We have yet to see a set that's like the bridge, like where they steer the boat or like anything.
It's driving itself.
For all we know, he steers it from the captain's table because that's the only place I've seen him. You know, or walking around with his short jacket on.
And then this ends up being his only scene.
That's
in the whole story.
Which was but I didn't think that was a worthwhile scene, to be honest with you. There was nothing.
That felt like they had to get him in. Plus, they had to have something to explain why the 2 couples were being more friendly.
Fair enough. So it was like yeah.
Because he did that whole stupid the Huns and the ceasefire bit and all that stuff. So
interesting. So Kelly is primping in her cabin after getting a note from Graham inviting her out to the lounge for an evening of G-rated clubbing. You see her getting ready. Then you see Graham worrying about a pimple. Kitty assures him it looks like a freckle and no one will notice or care. He tells her
Chekhov's zit right there. You know that's coming back around.
Yeah, you know it's just waiting. He tells her he's too nervous to go through with the date. She sternly orders him to put his jacket on and head over to the lounge. Next scene, the 2 arrive at the lounge and get a table for 2. Graham tries to look smooth by tipping Isaac, which is like a crumpled tissue, which was a weird sort of move. I don't know.
So, like, I get it. They're trying to portray the awkwardness, and this is exactly what 2 12-year-olds going to a real restaurant would be. Sure. I don't think it was particularly interesting or anything, but it did occur to me that if I was, again, somebody on this boat, say I take my wife and I make a big deal, it's their anniversary, and I'm like talking about how exclusive and romantic this is going to be. And then you look across and there's these 2 children having dinner at the exact same place that you are. It really takes the starch out of your fancy anniversary gift.
Blow out that candle on your table. You know what I mean? Right. This is not romantic anymore.
This isn't like, friendly. Like, this is supposed to be high class.
Well, I thought it was interesting is that there was an ashtray on the table. And when she was sort of like fiddling with the ashtray, and I was like, then I was thinking, if this was really in 77, that whole lounge would have just been smoke filled. Like everybody would have been smoking.
We haven't seen much smoking still.
Which is, that ship, it would just be just unbelievable. It would that whole boat would smell like AC. You know what I mean? Just, All right. So as the adults get down and boogie on the dance floor, which they were getting down, by the way, Kelly tries to initiate conversation by asking him questions about his interests, favorite classes. He just kind of gives her one-word answers and then keeps on the "you look nice tonight."
Rule of 3. They did it 3 times.
They did it 3 times.
Yeah.
Kelly gets fed up with Graham's social stuntness, and she's out of there. Flees to her cabin. He hates me. Flops onto her bed again, which is sort of weird because it's like, where's your dad? Where's a parent? It was just her and her
10-year-old sister. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just odd. All right, it's 2 a.m. before Jim can extricate himself from the life begins at 60 seniors. Invites Julie to come back to his cabin with him again. Good Lord,
yeah, this
Julie.
is where Julie really drops the ball. Like it turns out Julie has her own very nice room that they could have gone back
it was
to.
really nice.
Or like there's got to be somewhere you can sneak into. Like there's got to be a ballroom or something that's not being used. And she, walk. And then why do you go in when you hear them from the outside? Like, don't go in.
Because it's comedy gold. You know what I mean? It's like, let's get those 60-year-olds in there again.
Oh.
We paid for them. You know what I mean? Like, get them in there.
I don't even like Jim Wright. I really don't
like
care.
Jim Wright.
But I hate those old people and that they're torturing this poor man. So,
like, your age, it shouldn't be licensed to act like, you on 20, It's disappointing.
Awful.
It's funny because Julie says, I don't normally do this, which is such a cliche thing that, like, she's not going there for it. We know what's going on.
I don't think they were pretending it was anything otherwise.
No.
They weren't gilding the lily there. So.
Well, she'd been waiting all day. You know what I mean? She held out for a long time.
It's been a whole day.
Yeah.
She only got that hickey so far.
Trash rash. Ooh. So open the door. Tour group camped out on his floor playing poker and smoking cigars. I get it, but it was just some other bridge or some other obstacle to put in the way that And I would love it if I don't think it happened, but if this guy came back, you know what I mean, in an unrelated, not in a related episode, like 2 years from now. What a cool character to go back to, but.
I mean, maybe I guess it's possible. Like at some point, they'll want to have more of like a background stories for these guys. So you could like have him be referenced as like if they mention him now, even just as my boyfriend that I'll go see. Like, what are you doing for Christmas, Julie? I'm going to Jim's. Now you have it where it's like a little more. So I wonder if they will.
Well, I mean, they went into the captain's like first marriage in the first episode to sort of give you a little more flavor on that. And that's why it was so weird to me that he had that one scene. Like the captain to me that's a beefy role. Like but it is what it is. Terry admits to Ron that Barney is actually a nicer guy than she remembers. And Ron reminds her that they promised to meet up with Barney and Judy. Here we go. In the bar in a few minutes to hang out unnecessarily. Terry says she wants to finish the chapter of the book she's reading and urges him to go ahead. I thought that was a weird move. Like if I'm somewhere like, no, I want to finish these pages. Like,
do you think that book was supposed to be All the President's Men?
Why do you say that?
They kept making weird references to the president and the executive and it was odd.
I didn't catch that. I got to go back and check that. Interesting. I just thought that was weird. Like to me, if I'm him, I'd be like, well, wait, like, why would he owe it to them to be there?
Yeah.
If the glue of the thing was you know what I'm saying? Then why even bought like I just felt like it was sort of a dick move to be like, oh, I know we agreed to meet him there. I only got 13 pages left. It wasn't even like, let me finish this page. She like bookmarked 13 pages to go back to. So I'm like, okay, I'll just wait. It was just a weird.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Especially if you don't really know these people and the way you do know them is awkward.
Right. Like, well, and here's the thing is when they were on the main deck in the beginning, if maybe if somebody's just this crazy avid reader, maybe it makes sense. But when she was on the deck before, she didn't have a book. You know what I mean? So it was sort of inconsistent. Oh, you're so sucked into this book that you didn't have in your hand till now.
You think this was the long con all along?
You know what's up. You know what's up. she's feeling what he's feeling. You know what I
she
mean?
knew, who knows you better than your ex-wife, right? Like,
Yes.
so
You
wow.
know, yeah. So that's a long game.
About
right there.
that.
I mean, I respect it. Don't hate the player. So Julie makes an announcement over the PA system that a game of jackpot bingo. Anybody remember the prize, the money amount?
Was it
No.
$1,000?
$1,000 for the bingo. Ron and Judy get excited and head over the games room because they love bingo. Disinterested, Barney said he'll pass and will instead stop by Terry's or he'll wait for Terry here, is what he said. He didn't say I'm going to stop by her cabin and see what's up. I'll wait for her here.
Did you for a second I thought that Richard Mulligan was going to end up with Julie?
That's
or
what
not
I
Julie,
thought.
whatever her name is.
Well, remember that the scene with the cabs? Like it just seemed. I thought that's what was going to happen.
Yeah,
That's probably what happened. There was some weird stuff going on.
That's why they
man. You
didn't
gotta
win the
think.
bingo, because they were occupied otherwise.
I bet you there was a pineapple on that door, like an upside down pineapple. You know what's going on. And the next cruise. Why are you guys always on cruises together? Upside down.
So
pineapple.
when they all get the same drink,
right,
the three of
Yeah,
them get the same
whiskey
drink.
sour.
It's a whiskey sour, and I think I thought I knew what a whiskey sour was, but I definitely did not. Do you know what a whiskey sour is?
I don't.
I assumed it was whiskey and sour mixed, but I assume that's not the case.
Traditional whiskey sour is made with whiskey, lemon juice, sugar, and an egg white.
Whoa.
The egg white adds a creamy, rich flavor and a frothy texture to the surface, which is fun to drink.
Oh,
Thanks, Internet.
Man, a
So that
frothy
sounds like
egg
a
white.
terrible boat drink to have in
Well,
the
yeah.
sun.
oh, oh.
In the sea. Who wants cold egg whites in the sun? Frothy.
But they must
egg
be
whites.
moving them pretty quick, because Isaac came right back with those babies. So they probably have them pre-made.
Can you imagine the vomit from that if you
Oh,
overdid
just
it on
sounds
whiskey sours?
awful. No wonder
eggs
Robert
coming
Reed
back.
was on
Oh.
the trot. He's all liquored up on creamy
Eggs.
whiskey.
Oh,
Oh.
that's terrible. That's terrible. I had
Yeah.
no idea. What a weird.
I'm assuming that the first thing that came up in the Google search I did is correct. So
Well, maybe who
No
knew
attribution.
Isaac? Who thought Isaac would have like eggs in his like bar prep over ice?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Eggs.
Well,
It's just
you should-
odd.
yeah, that's just so funny. Eggs as a base of a drink you've heard of is weird.
That's really weird.
I
Not
felt
a
like-
fan.
I felt like this entire show was like kind of in that mode of like, what, eggs too? Like, just like everything's like, wait, what? He's going to point a gun at her head? Or like, why are they doing that?
Well, and
Seems
it's funny too.
unnecessary.
I bet you some of those things weren't like maybe the gun. Well, I think the gun thing is universal, no matter what year it is. Like, damn, he's pointing a gun at his ex. But I wonder if the drinks, like those type of things. I wonder if it's because it was the 70s. Like it was just like, oh yeah,
That's a very 70s sounding drink. Like
Oh, yeah.
just this decadent, unnecessary, like, oh yeah, let's put an egg in it. It's healthy.
yeah, that's odd.
Or it's fun to drink.
I just wouldn't think it would taste very good.
No.
No.
Like if it's just for like texture.
Well, like I enjoy whiskey as much as anybody, but I don't want to have it in the hot sun probably on a
No.
boat. I'm probably drinking fun drinks, not frothy whiskey with egg in it. So
Well, pina colada makes sense, right?
Well, it's dangerous though.
Well, they are
right,
dangerous.
one,
They are dangerous.
maybe two.
Unless Isaac's using like raw egg froth in that one too. Like he's got
Oh,
his
but
own
the same
spin.
It's all the same drink.
Ugh,
They have one drink
egg,
here.
An egg colada. Just it's all yolks. It's what we do with all the yolks. We put them in our coladas. 5 yolks per colada.
Ugh. That's why it's dangerous.
That's why it's dangerous. It's the what is it? The salmonella or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Stay away from the PCs. You know what I mean?
Eat, shoot, and don't get you.
Damn egg yolks and rum will. You know what I mean? Woo! Oh, looks like hollandaise sauce. Doesn't even look like a pina colada.
Oh,
Oh God! All right, Barney. Okay, Barney goes, and goes to Terry's room, which I thought was a little much. Like, why didn't he just wait for her?
Because it'd been a half hour.
Why would he care? He doesn't even like her.
He's getting
Like, this
saucy
is even
whiskey
better. I'm
sours in the
drinking-
hot sun. Plus, you know why.
Well, it's,
Yeah.
They both knew exactly what they were doing.
mhm.
she
Also,
probably-
that jacket is friggin' awesome.
I had a question about the jacket too. I wonder how they kept things from getting wrinkled. Like everyone always had a blazer or like a shirt
Polyester.
and like
Yeah.
polyester didn't wrinkle.
I don't think so. It's just that it's just flat like a board.
I didn't think about that.
Perfect. The perfect suit.
Yeah, no kidding.
I love that jacket. I would wear that jacket every day if I had that jacket.
That jacket was
It'd
slick.
be weird to wear it working from home, but I would still wear it every day.
You gotta dress for the job you want.
I would just accidentally turn my camera on during meetings just so people could see that.
Oops.
No pants, jacket, shirt.
Just log on.
I'm sorry, client. What's your problem? Is it how good this jacket looks?
And be like, hey, just wanted to share my drip. And then you're just out.
Clothes
Brought up-
screen.
Brought up
Shoes. How much is your fit? Well, shoes are about 60. Shorts. You know, they do those videos.
Jackets, $1,400.
Yep. They brought up Chanel number 5 again. That's 2 weeks in a row of
They
Chanel number 5.
did. Product placement.
Yep.
So she apologized for being late, got distracted while brushing her hair. Barney's just gazing at her and says it was worth the wait. So, you
You mean
know,
her soft hair.
I'm just gonna say this. I would bet money that Loretta Swift's hair was not soft. Like it did not.
It's got a straw look to it.
It just screamed pool brush to me. You know what I mean? Just a very bristly and full of spray, like not a soft helmet.
This felt like they got to it a little fast. So I guess the alcohol was maybe a little bit, but she wasn't fighting it.
She
either.
wasn't drinking whiskey sours.
Right.
She was reading a book.
Yeah. So I felt like I know they
Fifty
tried to
Shades of Grey.
retcon it at the end with like, oh, it had to happen and all that stuff, but I don't know. I think I needed like a couple more things in there to make that legit.
I agree. Just she notices that he's wearing the plaid jacket she gave him for Christmas. When she asks him to help her with her zipper, he gets a whiff of her perfume. Boom.
Yeah, I mean these are all moves.
And recalls that she was wearing it the night they first met. You know, it goes down. Barney, it goes down. They have relations.
Infidelity boat.
Infidelity.
And my favorite way of people indicating that they just had sex, all right, it's time to get dressed again. Love
It's
that.
this universal, like,
Yeah.
And it's always like in order because he's got his shirt on last. Like it's not like I see him hopping around with one shoe. Like it's very impressive flex though by Barney. He's like, we've been here for over an hour. Like, okay, Barney, we get it.
settle. We know how long you've been there.
stud.
Settle
Yep.
down.
It's all that egg.
protein.
All that egg. He's all fired up.
It's like a shake.
Funny. Who knew egg whites were like the Viagra of the 70s? You know what I
It's
mean?
like Rocky. It's like he was basically
That's what
drinking
it
what
was.
Rocky drank.
Yeah.
He didn't even want to date that girl at the pet store. He had no choice. He was all hopped up on egg whites, you know? Jim staggers into the lounge and finds Julie seated at the bar. This is the iced tea scene. Grumbles about, being run ragged. That's when Isaac is uncomfortably close to her face. The iced tea gets cut short. Here we go. Senior storm in playing bagpipes. Here we go. What a jerk move, man. Like
Take that rifle out.
Who's packing bagpipes? You know what? You can't bring bagpipes. You can't bring a knife on a plane.
No.
You can't bring bagpipes on a boat that I can't get off of.
unless this is like a Scottish cruise. I get that. But aside from that, it was
There's
so
also no
over
way
the
that
top.
actor was Scottish either. That was like, oh, top of the morning to you. Like, get out of here. Like,
Just over the top, just terrible. Over by the pool, Kitty. Okay, here we go. This is a good one.
Great.
Kitty admonishes Graham for acting like basically a jerk in front of Kelly. He's acting like a socially inept 12-year-old boy. Now, during the scene, she orders, you see the Boilermaker coming to her on the pool side. She takes this drink, she pours it into her soup bowl,
piping hot bowl of
a
soup.
piping hot bowl of soup, and begins drinking it like that. And I thought I had a thing that I remembered in late 2014 was the Soup Loves incident. Mike Robertson was with me I immediately, there was a woman eating soup, or she was about to eat
Oh
soup. She
God,
ordered
that's
soup
right.
at
Yeah.
at a bar. This was bizarre. And she puts on gloves. She put on leather gloves.
Leather gloves, like
Leather
driving
gloves.
gloves.
Like
Yes.
driving gloves, like with the knuckles out.
That's a fucking
And she's
pro.
That's what I'm saying. She put them on, then she started eating her soup. And I'm like, Mike, this woman just put, gloves on. I said, I really want to try to get a picture. But
It was awkward.
it was
angle.
awkward. So I'm lining it up. So it's like Mike's sort of lined up, but I'm sort of like, right as I hit the picture, she looks up.
Whoa.
So in the picture, she's looking right into the thing and knows that I was soup gloving. Get that soup glove picture. I felt.
So is that weird?
Hmm.
I forgot about that. So is
Yeah.
that weirder than somebody dumping a beer into their soup?
I don't know. I
Apples and oranges.
why did I don't know why she did it. Why did she just drink it?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you're not hiding it from anybody. Plus, as we've established, everybody is just rocked on this boat. Like every
Well,
week.
maybe somebody warned her. Like
Yeah.
maybe it's like, you're making a scene. Please don't drink anymore. And she's like, I'm not.
But they served
you know.
her.
Well, I
Maybe
Maybe
think
that's the only way
somebody-
she can. Maybe that's the only way she can get high now. It's
That's
like-
it. Unless that bowl was full of like crushed pharmaceuticals. You know what I mean? She's just making a little soup,
It's like that crusty episode where he's like, the only way I can get to even is like it's like children's Tylenol. And
So that was an interesting scene.
but again, hot soup on the deck of a boat in
Yeah.
the Gulf of Mexico seems ill-advised.
Maybe it was like what's that soup that they have?
Gazpacho?
In, like,
Gazpacho?
yeah, maybe it was like that, or maybe it
Hmm.
was like a bisque. You know what
Borscht.
I mean? Or a cold, like maybe it was like a cucumber soup, or it's like a cold soup.
There's no
Which
way
has
that
to
old
taste
British lady is
great
eating
with-
cucumber soup.
I mean, whatever soup it was, whatever
She's
came
eating
out of the
whatever
bowl,
they served when they started bombing the, in 39. Like she's eating like Churchill soup.
she still keeps her butter papers. You know what I mean? Like that lady's saving stuff. She knows. No, but
It
I'm
does
saying,
seem like a lot for just having. You could just have beer and soup. You don't need to like. You're not Are you saving? I guess you're saving time.
well, you're not really padding. It's not like soup's gonna like absorb all the liquor you're drinking.
Yeah.
Maybe the few crackers, but I'm saying is no matter what kind of soup was in that bowl, whatever the way she was drinking that after, like
Oh,
pea soup remnants with a shot, and it'd be like,
oh.
How many like
She's
soups?
committed.
How many soups existed in 1977? Like it's all the basic
Three.
ones, right?
it's just Campbell's, yeah, like chicken noodle,
Yeah, you're not having
tomato.
fun soups.
That's it.
That's
Yeah.
it.
It's like beef.
That's
parsley.
before soup was a thing. I think.
Right.
I don't think there's a lot of big soups out there.
It would be funny if it was actually not soup. It was just other booze. It was
Oh, so that's just
it was
how
the
she
whiskey
rolled.
sours. That's why it was so thick.
Oh,
Oof.
oof. I'm gonna be haunted by that.
So she's talking to both Graham and Kelly. Hands her. The two are grinning. The end of the scene basically ends where Kelly and Graham they seem to be getting along again. They're communicating. Great.
This wasn't doing it for me.
Because no, it wasn't either. Because it's Scott Baio. It's like this kid doesn't. He's probably I don't want to say anything disparaging about it.
It was just that just felt like I get what they were going for. It just didn't. Maybe it was because the sheer strength of Robert Reed in this episode that everyone else wilted around the absolute power of his performance.
Well,
But I did not-
storylines were.
I
even the
frankly didn't
Julie
like
one was
either
kinda-
other storyline
I
because I
didn't
thought they
either.
were kind of weak.
I didn't either. Terry and Barney get dressed after their impromptu making love session.
Making whoopee.
Making whoopee. She says she now realizes that the anger she's been feeling for him was actually leftover passion.
Horniness.
And your husband just gave her the pass too, in a weird non-pass sort of way. It was so weird. Like, and he almost created he created this opportunity. Or I'll go play bingo. You go ahead. And then for an hour, like, wouldn't you? I'm just saying.
How long does bingo take?
What's it? BINGO? Boom. You know what I mean? There's 5. I'm done. Bingo. I don't know. How long can it last?
He's probably into it though. He's like,
Yeah.
tell me about it later.
He's got his own dauber. Those people used to bring their own treasure trolls. Like, people get into some bingo, man. It's not with that whole post-coital.
Yeah, I mean,
the
it's what you think, right? It's like, oh, did we make a mistake? No, you're a terrible person.
Yeah,
blah,
you're
blah, blah.
just,
It's
it just was yeah. The two concurred that when things between them were good, they were very, very good, but very, very bad when they were bad, and agree they both like and hate each other at the same time.
It's like flying a plane. Doesn't
Apparently.
really matter if you're good most of the time. So.
You're good, yeah, most of the time. Above deck, Graham admits to Kelly that he's been acting so damn weird around her because she makes him nervous. Then he asked her if she's ever kissed anyone. I can't. Just says she hasn't, and then boom, they go for the smooch. I will say his outfit in this, he had a matching sweatsuit, off-brand, not Adidas, 2-stripe, which God only knows what that is, like Pro Wings. So he had like a thing. He was dressed to his part, and when I say that is, he had a gold chain with a cross. He had a full-on sweatsuit. I'm just saying. I think that he was playing. Scott Baio was playing Scott Baio. That's all I want to say about that. Julie spots Jim dancing with an old lady and cuts in, steers him over to a table and admonishes him for standing her up at dinner. He explained that he got roped into playing ping pong with the life begins at 60. And when he leans in for a long-awaited smooch, one of the seniors marches over and forcibly drags Jim on the dance floor again.
Like
Bunch of a-holes, man.
It's diabolical at that point.
They're almost waiting. They're like, oh, no. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, he's going to grab him. They're
awful people, and they all should be thrown in some sort of like one of those homes where they beat up the elderly.
They abuse them.
Yeah.
It's a very specific type of assisted living facility. Yeah, that's funny.
What about just off with just them, just the elderly going around and causing chaos in different scenarios?
Oh God, that would be the worst. Like a prank show. Like them just popping up, ruining dates all over. I really didn't. I actually genuinely did not like those people, and I don't think they had a redeemable moment at the end either. I don't think they cleared it by saying they were going to die soon.
I like how much you hate.
Yeah, I'm very upset.
I appreciate
very
it.
upset. Hours later, an exhausted Jim stops by Julie's cabin in a last-ditch effort. Julie invites him in and offers to fix him a drink. And as she's doing that, she's like, I really wanted to get to know you, blah, 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 blah. She turns around. He's fast asleep on her bed.
So that was booze, right? In that colander? Colander.
I think so.
Whatever,
When
Keurig
that
or whatever.
yeah, I'm sure it was.
Carafe. Sorry.
Correct. Yeah.
Until I get it right. Yeah.
Schmancy, like crystal.
Those were
decanter or something.
Heavy pours.
Well, it was just straight whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like,
she didn't put. I don't know. She put ice in it. Like it's like so.
What drink is this, Julie? This is the Sledgehammer.
This is shut up.
This is shut up. My name's Julie.
But like you said, this was Jim's last ditch. This should have been their first ditch. Julie's got a very nice room that has to be. You got to assume the crew rooms are off limits, probably hidden away.
I would think
private. Like these olds aren't going to know how to find this guy.
No, and every hallway shot looks the same because it's the same hallway they shoot for every shot. So if that's any indication on how confusing those hallways must be,
they'd never find it.
Especially to an old person. How did they find Jim's room? Like shenanigans on that. Terry thanks Ron for urging her to confront Barney about her unresolved anger and tells him, I love you very much. He hugs her back and says the creepy, that's all you have to say.
So he knows, right?
Of course.
He just doesn't want to hear the words, but he's knows.
In the business. Yeah, he gave her a green light.
Which means he probably hooked up with Judy.
Yeah, he just had her. That was his whole mission after
swingers.
All.
Yeah, they're just swingers.
No offense, Swit, but like this younger one's more of a looker. No offense. You know what I mean? Just preference. So
Plus, it's like if you're a marriage counselor, you're always looking for the next one, right? Like,
Oh God, he's not quitting his job.
because if you're a good marriage counselor, they don't come back.
That's a good point.
No money in that.
No, he's bad by design. You know what I mean? He wants your marriage to break up.
And then he's gonna feast.
Yeah, every day when he starts, he goes, every day. He's like, whose marriage am I going to wreck today?
He paid for his ex to be on that cruise.
Oh, his total setup.
Hey, you guys want a cruise? Come on.
That's brilliant.
See, that is brilliant. He set the whole thing up. I know what you need. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll close this chapter one way or another. You know, good Lord.
I don't want to hear about this guy anymore.
And I bet you the girl was involved too. You know what I mean? Somehow, like, let's go play bingo. You know, because that's
And
he's so
an
slick,
anthropologist. She's into those old Richard Mulligan bones.
That's funny. That's funny. Terry thanks Ron. Okay, we talked about that. He whispered, "That's all you have to say." Graham tells Kelly, moving on to that yesterday was the greatest day of his life and that he wants to see her after the cruise. As the two bid each other goodbye, Kelly says, "I love you." Graham freaks out and he goes back and does that weird
Igor.
like slow it down, Kelly. Slow it down with this I love you. It's like you're on a path to nowhere if you're throwing him out this quick. You know,
to be fair, she sounded like she wasn't. I don't think she really had a grasp of what that meant when she was saying it.
No.
I've been there. Kelly, I've been there.
Yeah.
Very relatable character.
Yeah. Like, oh, like that's a rough one. That's a rough one.
Oh.
Do you think I'm always amazed when they are able to find each other on this giant boat? Like, how does he locate her? They don't have phones. They didn't make any prearrangements. He doesn't go to their room. They're just on the deck. Like, are you just like running around looking for a small child when you're Scott Baio?
I tell you what, I kind of relate it to like if you live on like an army base, right? In a small neighborhood in an army base. And I knew a really cute girl when I was in like 7th grade that lived like a block and a half away, right? So I just trolled the neighborhood on my bike, just slowly riding by. You know, he's just like walking. You know what I mean?
So he's taking like 9 laps on the deck of this boat.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's I ran into again.
That's why he's wearing this wetsuit.
Yeah, it's just you know, well, did I walk by your house 75 times? You know what I mean? Not like well, think about what is there? I wonder on a ship. Especially this one, what is it for a kid to do on a 1970s cruise? Honestly, like what?
I mean, that pool probably is doing a lot of the lifting.
I agree. Julie and Jim gazed at each other, lamenting that many missed opportunities. And and they couldn't. Life begins at 60s. Basically, screwed it up for him. Jim tells Julie, "I'd love to see her in L.A." She says, "A-okay with that."
Which blows up the whole plot, honestly.
Well, she also reminds him that they still have 30 minutes before the ship docks too, so make it a little
in your pants, Julie. But it's like the whole thing is like this should have either been they knew each other from before, and this is the only time they had, and they kept getting foiled, or he was like shipping out somewhere, and there was like a hard day. They can go to dinner that night.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So the urgency is. They needed something else there. So
and she also said they still had 30 minutes, which is a little, I know I said that, but it's just weird. As they lean in for a smooch, here they come again. Those SOBs back again. They wander over to apologize for monopolizing Jim's time. And basically the argument was, we just have less time on the planet than you do. So it gives us license to that's not an apology, is it?
No. Just an admission of selfishness.
Right.
Were we dicks? Yeah. Because we have less time. But yeah. That's nothing like reassuring about that statement.
And so glad you had this realization as we're getting off the boat. Like you could have had that realization 2 days ago.
It's just
And then, like I said, they just stand there for their last scene. Like the one woman's in the shot.
Yeah.
Like go away.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Oh,
so they leaves at Jim tells Julie he needs to get the group ready to go ashore, but promises to be in touch. So we'll see.
What do you
We'll
think? What are the odds that we hear? I don't think we see him again, but what are the odds that we hear Jim Wright referenced to as a Julie off-screen boyfriend?
Maybe.
What kind of odds is Vegas giving on that?
Yeah, we gotta
be like
make a phone call.
I'm gonna say 5-1.
All right. Yeah, I mean, because
so 20% chance that his name gets dropped here in the next.
The things that happened in threes too. The things they keep saying: the Doc being married 4 times, the Gopher name, the Aft using
it's a cheap little thing that you can get in. Just reference like, yeah, me and Jim are going to my parents for Thanksgiving or something like that. Oh, it's getting serious. Right. Oh, serious as a can on a boat. You know, like
yeah.
So.
Look at you, just writing it down. Julie asked Kelly how her cruise went. Kelly tells her that Graham falls into the category of guy you never figure out. A few seconds later, she spots him a few levels down after he's gotten off the ship, and he yells, "The thing you said, I do too." Great,
classic.
Bayo. Great. That's great. Liar. And actually, that is the last time he said "I love you" to anybody until he was 50 years old. So.
Yeah, Nicole Eggert was begging for that.
Ron says goodbye to Barney and Judy, and the couples wish each other good luck before accidentally splitting up in the wrong configuration. The 4 chuckle heartily. That wasn't an accident, by the way. I'm surprised they didn't all get in the same cab. You know what I'm saying?
I would watch a movie of those 4 in some sort of like swinger.
Why not?
Awkward like rental hotel for a week or something like that. They had good chemistry, all of them.
I think that maybe Mike Brady would just like the opportunity, you know. You don't even put the acting down. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, I don't. He's like, no, we can't. No.
But that was I guess that was the button of the thing, which was sometimes the epilogue goes long and sometimes it's literally just something to get. There's always a cab, but like
there's always a cab. But again, in that last scene, that he put the suitcase in the front seat on there. It was so weird to me. Like instead of popping the trunk.
Maybe people were trunks different in the 70s in cabs?
I thought they were just bigger.
Yeah, if anything.
Yeah, I used to hear about people going to like a drive-in movie and like putting people in their trunk.
Well, maybe that's what it is. Maybe the guy had just come back from the drive-in movie.
That's a good point.
What's playing in 77? He's probably seen Star Wars.
That's probably Jaws. You know what I mean? Close Encounters. All those wonderful things.
A lot of classics out there.
So that's episode 3 in a nutshell.
Our current King of the Mountain is the first episode. Jamie, this will be hard because I assume you haven't seen the first 2, but we are basically trying to decide on the fly what is the best episode of all time by comparing the current champion to the episode we just watched. So, Mike, I will say that this is definitely not the best episode because I think what I've started to learn is there's 3 storylines in every one. And you probably have to have all 3 be decent to good for it to actually be the best episode. And in my opinion, this was a 1 storyline show, which was good. I thought that was as good as of any of them. But I did not care about the kids, and I certainly didn't care about the olds. So I'm gonna say no as far as winning this week. This is still episode 1 is the champion for me.
I would agree with you. Although this episode had that love boat feeling, you know what I mean? Like lots of sort of turns, and again, one strong storyline does not make the greatest episode of the Love Boat ever. And I do go back to episode 1 because of the strength of all 3 storylines. I agree with you. Episode 1 is hard
when like Stubing's not even in it, really.
Right?
That'd be weird for that to be the best episode.
I will say though, is coming off of last episode where they portrayed Stubing in that really awkward, creepy sort of way. At least I was glad that he wasn't just comedy relief.
Yeah,
like I still think like he's the cat. I just think they should still show some respect to him as far as the storylines, and not. So
last week, it makes last week's episode even more abrupt that he was just some horn dog.
Yeah, he was all horned up. He was just trying to like. Just cornering John Ritter dressed as a redhead in his cabin, like all these crazy.
All right, I think I might need to watch.
Yeah, I got you.
I feel like we're really gonna make people watch episodes because It's hard to
It was
explain
creepy. It is hard to
properly.
explain. It is hard to explain. So that is episode 3. Only 260 episodes left. And
The
let me
last
put
one's on a cruise. That's our
the
promise.
last one to be on. That is the goal. I think the last one, try to get every guest we've ever had and we
On
go
one
a
cruise.
On one cruise.
Oh
No
my
live.
god! What a treat that will be for
That would
other
be,
people. We will be the olds playing the
Yeah, we would be
bagpipes.
the olds. We would be the olds, and I'd give
Whiskey
that whole
sours
speech.
for
I
everybody.
just have less time than you. You know what I mean?
I can do whatever
so
the fuck I want. Pardon.
No. You're good. You're good. I
Okay.
think it would be let's get on a cruise, man.
Do
Look,
it.
if you would like to be a guest on the Love Boat Project, please feel free to email at theloveboatproject@gmail.com. We also have a Facebook group, Love Boat Project, YouTube, Love Boat Project as well. Jamie, thank you so much for being our very first guest.
It's my honor.
I really appreciate it, and it was so good to haven't seen you in a bit, and it's always it's great to have a chance to get to talk to you.
Yeah, I agree, and thank you, Mike's, for having me, and it's always good to talk with friends.
I agree. All right. Well, that'll do it for this edition. We will see you soon. Thanks, everybody.